Station.
Hey, Wichita, it's Jacob Albright. Stay right there for the latest breaking in sports talk. It's Sports Daily coming up next, exclusively on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. I had a close friend who was a former Navy SEAL who used to always tell me when adversity hit, quote, "Not dead, can't quit." That's the Golden State Warriors. Not dead, can't quit. As for the Clippers, who blew another fourth quarter double-digit lead in a playing game, not dead, but should quit because they spit the bit once again last night. Yeah, I know. Hey, Rome, you need some Thousand Island with that word salad? Right. So I'll make it very simple. Steph Curry and Draymond Green once again showed the heart of a champion after they had been written off, and the Clippers once again showed their true colors by coming from ahead to implode when it mattered most. The Dubs may not make a title run, but at least they have a champion's heart and pride, and they'll go down throwing haymakers. While the Clippers, well, they'll look for a nice, comfortable place to lay down and die, same as they ever were. And as for Chris Paul throwing shade at them, hey, Chris, petty is funny, bitter and washed is not. I'm Jim Rome.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
The playoff push is heating up, and Prize Picks is simple to play. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. And now with early payouts and the new social feed, you can follow friends, share picks, and copy winning lineups. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code ROME and get a $50 bonus credit in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Code ROME to get a $50 bonus credit in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Hey, can't find nothing on the radio. Yo, turn to that station.
95.5 WPET. You got Peter the Riff Griff shocking you and rocking you while I'm sitting here talking to you. It's 75 and sunny, which means our street squad's going to be out looking for them super stickers. If you don't got one, get down to Linoleum Depot this Saturday from 9 to 2. I'll be there hooking you up. Slap one on your car, win $100. Now I'm looking around and I'm seeing the spin doctors with not one, but 2 princes.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH, this is Sports Daily.
I totally don't know what that means, but I want it.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. That's Max Power bringing you those throwbacks there. A lot of fun. Glad to be here with you. Jacob Albrock, Paul Savage, the draft. We are through night 1, and the Chiefs gave us plenty to talk about. We're going to do that all show long here on Sports Daily. A couple of picks made. They do make a trade. All of it. We'll have the discussion, and I can't wait for it, quite frankly. It's going to be a blast. We'll have that. We'll have Jaylon Thompson in a little bit later in the second hour to talk some Kansas City Royals with us and discuss their weekend ahead, as all eyes are on the NFL world right now. It's all What's on Tap, brought to you by the Wichita Brewing Company, now featuring Caddy Snack, Wichita's golf beer. Caddy Snack Blonde Ale, refreshingly crushable, makes the perfect pairing from the first tee to the 19th hole, no matter the score. Caddy Snack reminds you to beer the ball. Wichita Brewing Company, pizza and beer made here. The Shockers had a player in the portal yesterday. We had a lot to get to, Paul Savage. How are you? Did you stay up late with the draft?
Oh, man, I did my best. Yeah, I pretty much did. It was kind of an interesting – there were a lot of little takes that I kind of enjoyed. We'll get to them as the show goes on, but it was an interesting draft, and I was not surprised with Mansour Delaney because I'll tell you what, you and I both talked at length about the importance of corner. Remember that yesterday? We talked about that. I mean, for probably 10 minutes about
you trade Trent McDuffie.
Yeah. And so, they take a corner with their pick. They trade up to the 6th pick. I can't blame them. It was only 3 spots, but they're talking about he wouldn't have been there by 9. So you do what you got to do. And I think that's a good pick. I think that is a really good pick.
Yeah, we'll get into whether it's a good pick, whether we think it's a good pick, and whether we think the cost to make the pick was worth it as we make our way through the show. I'll read you some of what Andy Reid and Brett Veach had to say about the picks as we get into it here. Just to recap what's happened for the Chiefs. You've got a situation where they move up from pick 9 to pick 6. In order to do that, they trade their 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. That 3rd-round pick 74. That's pretty big draft capital to move up a couple of spots. So keep that in mind as we evaluate this. They did give up a 3rd to get up 3 spots to number 6 to take Mansour Delane. Then they come back at the end of the round with their other pick, which there were a boatload of trades at the end of this. They pick in their spot at 29 and take Peter Woods, a defensive tackle, Paul,
scratching my head.
Defensive end, a defensive tackle out of Clemson. So that's a pretty interesting development. Only because you've got Chris Jones there, right? And Omar Norman Lott is still a part of this team. And Omar Norman Lott is a defensive tackle that they drafted last year in the 2nd round. So he's coming off of an injury, but you're not using 3 defensive tackles, Paul. So that one's interesting, whether we want to read into what's going on with Omar Norman Lott, whether we want to question it. We'll get into all of it and our thoughts on the picks and everything, but it's interesting. They move up, they trade up, they do the thing we thought they'd do, or I thought they might do, not for the player I thought they'd do it for, which that surprised me quite a bit. You know, when they moved up, this was such a way. Let me just, hopefully everybody's okay from the Storms last night. This is how I experienced the Chiefs pick last night, Paul. I was in late working the night news at 12 News. So I'm on my dinner break. I'm thinking, okay, the Chiefs are going to pick 9. The first thing that's changed is the NFL draft. I liked this. They moved up the pick time to only 8 minutes. I thought it was great. I thought to move it along that way and be done by 10 o'clock, I thought that was a good thing. But it went fast. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I got to go home. Got to go home on a dinner break, help get the kids ready for bed, whatever. I'll be back in time for the Chiefs pick, no problem. Well, all of a sudden we get tornado warnings, right? So I've got that happening in one ear, trying to get the kids ready. These picks are flying off the board. I'm like, okay, I better hurry up and get back here because we're all ready to pick. I think at that point we were at pick 4. And I was like, this is going fast. I'm going to go ahead. It looks like we're clear of the tornadoes. Everybody's settled in. I'm going to start driving back. Well, when you drive back and you're listening to the draft on the radio, and I popped around to 3 different places, NFL Network on satellite radio, all these different places, they are way, way ahead of where TV is. Way ahead, Paul, on the picks. And one crew, I don't remember which one, was even talking about it. Could have been here. I don't remember which at that point on KFH. They're like, our job's to tell you the information when we know the information. So we're going to give you the pick when they make it. And so I'm sitting there and they're like, okay. And the Giants take Arvell Reese at 5. Now the Chiefs are on the clock. And I'm like, whoa. What has happened in the 8 minutes I've gotten in my car and started driving? Well, the coverage was so far behind on TV of what was happening versus what was on the radio. And I'm like, they traded up to 6? And this happened before, apparently, the Reese pick was announced. So my first thought is, did they just trade up thinking they were going to get Arvell Reese and the Giants took him? Because the Giants, they've got defensive ends. That was a little bit of a surprise that they took Reese there. Not a ton, but a little bit. And I'm like, did they move up thinking they were going to get him? That doesn't seem likely. And so I'm trying to just figure all that out. And then bing, bang, boom. It's Mansour Delane. It's all this stuff. And then I will say, and we'll help use this info to gather it. It was becoming pretty clear from the analysts, from the people that were sitting there, Delane was not going to make it past Washington and New Orleans. I think that was everybody's thought, at least that was watching the draft play out the way it was playing out, probably because Jeremiah Love went, Carnell Tate went a little bit earlier. at that point, that's such a need for those teams that everybody and their dog agreed, like Delane wasn't going to make it to 9. So that's where the Chiefs move up. They go get their guy. That's what they said after the draft, that they didn't feel like he was going to fall to them either. So they got aggressive and went up to get him. So it was a weird experience with all the severe weather, Paul, last night. We're trying to watch the NFL draft and tornado coverage. It's a big ask. It's a big ask.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you had your hands full last night trying to keep track of all this stuff, plus keep people safe. That's what your task is for the night, above all things, is, of course, to keep people safe.
Sorry for the Matlock interruption, everybody.
Well, you know something?
Not really. I'm not really sorry for that.
When lives are at stake, you got to do what you got to do. There's always going to be some of those people that kind of go, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? Those people that would put the sign in the yard, don't take off Matlock, right? That's what it would be.
But anyway, we had them. Even though there were, tornadoes in the metro area.
Right.
Good Lord.
But when we come back for break, I want to point out that I think the one thing you're really correct on is that the Chiefs thought Mansour Delane was not going to be available by 9. Nobody was going to take it.
They have outright said it, and they're not the only ones. Just about everybody that was watching that play out the way it was thought the same thing. So, what does it tell us? They really love Mansour Delane. Let's talk about it when we come back. It's Sports Daily. It's Albrecht and Savage on a Friday, reacting to round 1 of the NFL draft. Don't go away.
This is Sports Radio.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
310-1 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Sports Daily. Longhofer Lawn and Tree Care, celebrating 60 years in Wichita, providing expert lawn care for a healthy lawn, tree and shrub care, and bedweed control since 1966. Longhofer Lawn and Tree Care. We come back in, we get ready for draft talk here, Paul, and we go through all the scenarios, all the different things that we're hearing about and seeing and reading about, and the Chiefs do something that we didn't really expect. We expected them maybe to trade up. We even expected Mansour Delane to be an option at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
We did not expect them to trade up to get Mansour Delane, but that's what happens. What do you think of the pick? What do you think of the player, first and foremost?
Well, first of all, you and I yesterday spent a lot of time on the position of cornerback, how important it is, the needs of the Chiefs, which they can certainly use a corner. And we talked about, the ability of a corner to change the course of a game. We talked about corners, good corners, great corners, Hall of Fame caliber corners. They change the game and make the game 10-on-10, which the advantage then now goes to the defense. And we talked about that extensively yesterday. So for the Chiefs to take a corner, that fits right in with what they're trying to do defensively. They're trying to change the game with certain positions, and by the way, Chris Jones makes that a little easier too, by the way. That makes, when you got a Chris Jones in the middle and he is a player, and I'm telling you, that guy is as good as there is in the NFL, even at this point, even though he's getting a little older. It gives you a lot of options. And I think at this point, we've got to assume that with the addition of this corner, that the Chiefs are going to improve themselves. And I don't blame them for having done what they did. I really don't blame them at all. So I think it was a great pick. I enjoyed the pick. I liked the pick. It was just one of those things where I get it why they traded up. They were worried about 2 slots. But he may not have been there. They assume he may not have been there.
Yeah, they moved up to, and I'm going to take you through. Brett Veach gave such a fun and awesome explanation of his thinking. Just really opened up the book to explain his thinking on that. So here's what Brett Veach had to say about it. So he first pointed to their analytics. He said they've run a lot of predictive models, and said when you look at the stack of players that they kept coming up, they figured Bailey and Reese would be gone. And then they got into their stack of players they thought might be available Mansour Delane was at the top of that list. He later said they kind of thought Delane or Caleb Downs or Jordan Tyson would be the players that they sort of, through all their analytics stuff and when they ran their predictive models, they thought those kind of were the three that were most common coming up, and they knew that they liked Delane the most. So then they kind of then he really opened it up into the two teams ahead of him, Washington and New Orleans. That he said they figured before that New Orleans was going to be their biggest obstacle to get Delane. And he also said and pointed out that, and there's famous stories of how they got Mahomes over the Saints and everybody else, that Mickey Loomis, the Saints GM, he's like, if there's anybody that's as or more aggressive than I am in the draft, it's him. So they knew that they would be a willing trade. Like they might be a team that would trade. And then sort of the nail in the coffin, it sounds like, is they thought Carnell Tate was going to be an option for Washington. When he went early for the Titans, that's when the Chiefs said they had to pull the trigger, because they thought, okay, maybe we can get through New Orleans to get Delane, but New Orleans needs corners as badly as the Chiefs need corners, it sounds like. Maybe Washington, but they figured Washington for Tate. So when Tate went, they were like, we don't think he's going to fall to us. That's too many outliers. They make the move. They trade up. They knew Cleveland was going to be a willing trade partner. They knew Washington was not. And so they make the call. They move up. They get the player that they like. So, that's kind of a cool explanation from him on how you get to that decision. And sort of, I guess it makes you feel good, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. They were prepared for the scenarios, even with the curveballs that came. Jeremiah Love going 3 was a small curveball. Carnell Tate going 4 to the Titans was certainly a curveball. And so then you've got to react. So they go get the player they like, Paul. They liked him. They said, I believe they said he was certainly at the top out of those 3. He was near the top of their board. And so he said they never considered trading 29 even to get up to number 3. And so he said that 29 and 40 are off the board. So then that kind of tells us, right, that it was going to take that to get up to 3 probably. Like, I don't think that the Cardinals are willing to accept for 3 the same trade that the Browns took for 6. So that's interesting. And then he talked a lot about Mansour Delane. He and Andy Reid both mentioned that that Spags loves the player. Obviously, Brett Veach always includes players and coaches in these decisions. I believe, at least that's always been the story. They had, Paul, it sounds like, the framework, not necessarily the framework, but they in Cleveland had communicated that this was a possibility. And so there was some groundwork done, but again, he kept pointing to these predictive models. They have somebody on staff named Mark Richards that does this. And when those models kept saying that the most likely player that the Saints were going to take was Mansour Delane, that's what really raised those red flags. So they got him. They got their guy. Now, was it the right guy? That's the question now. We've got, and I apologize for I think it's SDTS Imangela. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this viewer on YouTube says, for what KC gave up, he better be the second coming of Revis Island. Rick agrees, said he loves both picks, but hates giving up a third rounder. That needs to be a starter when they have lots of needs. I don't disagree with the sentiment. I'm not going to pretend to sit here and evaluate a corner. Like that's a pretty high level evaluation. I like the comps. I like the player. It looked like he was the best corner in the draft, the Tennessee corner. I think the injury concern, he may need surgery, I heard. So Delane was pretty large margin, Paul, becoming the top corner on the market. So in one hand, the Chiefs got the top corner. You saw him evaluated as quote unquote safe by a lot of people. So I'm fine with the Chiefs being aggressive to go get the player that they felt like they needed the most. Mm-hmm. One thing I'll say, though, is the Chiefs have a long history of finding. Now, Trent McDuffie was a first-round pick, and They traded up to get McDuffie. So maybe that's an example for you. But they've hit on a lot of defensive backs later in drafts. It feels like a pretty big price tag to take that position. So I'm gonna say I'm okay with it in a vacuum because they really like the player, and he obviously steps in and slots in as a starting corner. Noel Williams would be the other. You certainly feel much better about the secondary right now, but they gave up a third-round pick to get him, Paul, and a pick inside the top 100. Was the price worth the player, do you think?
Well, that's the question. Time will tell. But here's the thing, Jacob. Here's the thing. You say, well, you can always go get a corner in the later rounds. And that's true because there's still plenty of them, and there's always a lot of corners. I mean, you go on to any football team, whether it's college, high school, there always seems to be a lot of DBs, a lot of smaller guys who want to play football and who can run, and there they are. There they are. What are you doing? Well, they're a corner or a receiver, one of the two. So there's always going to be those kind of guys, and you can always go get them. Here's the problem with the scenario that you can always wait and go get corners. You might go through a bunch of corners before you find that one that's really worthy of being a game changer. You may never find one that's a game changer. Mansour Delane, we think he is a game changer. We think he's going to be a starter. We think he's going to be one of those guys that is going to be a linchpin in the defensive plans and the defensive schemes of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that's where you got to be. And the world is ripe with stories from NFL franchises who have said, well, we lost the guy we wanted because we just thought he might fall one or two more spots, sometimes one spot. But we just thought he would probably fall one more spot. And in one of those one or two teams in front of some team wanting some particular guy, they step in and pick him. One or two spots, that's all it is. So if this is the guy you want, if this is the guy who's going to change the course of the defensive backfield for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's going to be a difference maker, you take him. You take him when you can get him. And if you can't get him at 9, guess what? Trade up to 6 and get him then. So I don't think I certainly, as you can probably figure out, I have no problems with trading the draft picks away that they did. Do I like to see that? Of course not. The more draft picks, because one thing that Rick was right, I think it was Rick that just said, you just quoted him, that starters are taken in the first 2 to 3 rounds. You get starters. Well, actually, you get starters all the way through the draft.
A team like the Chiefs, Paul, though, they get to have. Look, I'm going to rubber stamp this because they love the player, and teams that aren't rebuilding completely, I never have a problem with them being aggressive to go get the player they like, to acquire talent, because the Chiefs and the Jets are in very different situations, right? The Jets need a collection of players to help them, and they got to do the rebuild thing. The Chiefs are just kind of retooling a little bit. They're never really rebuilding because they have Mahomes. They have to replace some players, and we'll get into the second pick, Peter Woods, in a second, because, Chris Jones is getting a little long in the tooth, and they have some things they need to address. One other thing real quick, and I'm glad Rick brought this up. Dave Merritt was arrested for domestic battery misdemeanor yesterday. He asked, will he be coaching DBs? The answer to that right now is yes. Andy Reid did address that last night and just said that pretty much the company line said he was home with his family. They're evaluating whatever. Look, the Chiefs have a long history of this. I can't imagine he's not going to be coaching the defensive backs. So, yeah, I think he will. But that did also happen yesterday, of course. It wouldn't be a Chiefs season without some off the field shenanigans there, Paul.
Thanks for that.
But look, they like the player a lot. Clearly, he was high on their board. It sounds like he was about the 5th player on their board behind the 2 edge rushers, and talent-wise behind Mendoza and Love. But they went and they got their guy that they really liked. It cost them a 3rd. That could be a player that they need. And now after, they'll pick in the 2nd round, they'll pick in the 4th round. And then of the picks that you kind of have expectations for, which I always feel like are kind of in that first 4 rounds, certainly in the first 3, they're not going to have a ton there. This third pick becomes fascinating, Paul. Who do they take now? What position? Because they still didn't take edge rusher, right? They took a defensive lineman, Peter Woods, out of Clemson, and who's going to be in the mix for the 3rd or 4th string defensive tackle here. Remember, they traded for Kairos Tonga last year. And so, you're looking at it, and they've got plenty of depth on the interior line, and that's okay. And look, Brett Veach pointed to it. You look at some of the better teams in the league last year, Seattle, New England, they came at people with a lot of different defensive linemen, a rotation. There's been times in the NFL where that's a trend. So again, it's fine if they really like that player. I have no problem with it. The problem's going to become, though, Paul, but they still didn't address edge rusher. They still have to very likely address wide receiver. The offensive lineman flew off the board in the first round this year, which I thought was really interesting, and it caused some of these players to sort of fall down the board. So many teams were taking offensive linemen. And so in that regard, I'm like, hey, that actually kind of works for the Chiefs. The Chiefs could have used a tackle, but they're okay on the line with what they've got. Like, you feel good about what they've got on the line going into next year. You feel good with Jalen Moore. Wanye Morris is kind of your depth piece. Like, I like their line. So you see all these players fall. You see the receivers fall. You see the other edge rushers fall. And then it's Peter Woods. Like, okay. Didn't see that coming. I didn't see this draft coming, Paul. They traded up like we thought, but it was for Mansour Delane, who before the draft we thought might go at 9. But then the draft shakes up a little bit at the top. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. Like, this was all very interesting. So if we're just hip shot grading it, we'll get into the Woods pick and the strategy there on the other side. But if we're just hip shot grading this thing, what are you going to give it? I'm going to say B minus. I'm going to say B minus. I don't want to be too harsh on it, because I do think they deserve credit for having the right strategy to get the player that they thought they felt like they had to get in Mansour Delane. So I'll give them credit for that. I'll pull credit because they didn't address pass rush, which I think is their biggest need this offseason yet. So I'm gonna give them a little credit for identifying the player and having the execution to the plan to go get the player. And it does address a need. And then I'm going to pull some credit for not addressing pass rush, and I'm going to pull some credit because now you don't have your 3rd or a 5th round pick, and that's a pretty hefty price tag. And I think we have to factor that into the evaluation here. Now, I will say this, Paul. If there's a player that they identified today and they trade up again, and so now they're still coming away with that, 3 players or whatever, 4 players in the first 100 picks like they had, I'm going to give them credit there too. Now, that may cost you a little bit next year.
That's the worry.
But if it cost you a second, let's say it cost you a 2nd and a 5th next year. Do they still have their 4th? I think they still have their 4th. Let's say it cost you a 4th this year and a 2nd next year to move up to draft another high-impact defensive player that you've identified. That's going to add, like, I'll like that. The reason is a 2nd round pick this year for the Chiefs is pick 40. 2nd round pick for the Chiefs next year, if all goes well and they're planning it out right, it's going to be in the 60s, right? It's going to be 59 or 60 because they feel like they're going to get back at the top of this thing. So I'd be okay with that too. And I wouldn't rule it out. It's hard. We talked about that yesterday, but we don't have their big board. Like, do they love any edge rushers or wide receivers? Because I think that's where we look today, right? Don't you at pick 40, edge rush, wide receiver? And we'll talk about what we expect too on the other side. But
right,
it's far from over. They may pick again. They may make 2 picks today.
Right.
They may trade out of that pick. It's all on the table.
One of the interesting things in this draft, you kind of made me go do a little count. 9 offensive linemen picked in the first 32. 9. That is a bunch. So it's a talented class, and it's very interesting that many players. Also, one of the interesting things that if you look closely, 16 trades in the first round. Yesterday we talked about there may be a lot of trades in this draft just because of the setup.
There were.
Yeah,
it's fun.
16.
What did you think, real quick, Paul? We got about 20 seconds. Did you like the faster first round?
Absolutely.
You did.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
I've heard mixed reviews on it. Some people like the longer picks. I thought it was great. I loved it.
It's the same thing as the pitch clock. Yeah, I like it. It picks things up.
You're here to entertain us, and we were more entertained. I agree. All right, we'll come back. Let's talk about the second pick the Chiefs made and look ahead to the next day when we return on Sports Daily.
This is Sports Radio KFN.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
It's 9/12/40.
Time to get busy.
This is Sports Daily on KFH.
All right, thank you to Crestview Country Club for being a great supporter of the program here. You're going to have to dance around, play a little golf this weekend. Crestview Country Club will have you covered. 36 holes to choose from. The North Course, the South Course, both in great condition. There are even different memberships if you just want access to one of the courses. So give Crestview a call. They got the simulators inside. They've got golf instructors out there to help try to figure out your game. No hope for me, but maybe for you. And great restaurant facilities. That pool's going to be open in about a month. Can't wait for that, Paul. My wife, who will be pregnant this summer, I imagine will just be in that pool a lot.
There you go.
As she cools off. But it's one of the best pools, if not the best pool in town. Give Crestview a call. It's a great family atmosphere. Tell them we sent you here from Sports Daily. All right, we come back. We're going to continue our talk of the NFL Draft's first round. Jaylon Thompson will be in next hour to get us ready for the Royals weekend. So let's just keep chugging along, Paul. We'll talk about the rest of the Chiefs' first round expectations today. We've got to get in and sort of review what else we liked, non-Chiefs, out of the draft in the first round. But okay, we established and we've discussed the pick of the first round, Mansour Delane, one of the bigger surprises, I think, of the first round, one of the more aggressive moves of the first round. The Chiefs loved the player. They've made that clear, and they went up. It may be their most glaring need. They lost both starting corners, so they addressed that with the first pick. No issues there. Was it an overpay? Depends on how good Mansour Delane is. If I told you, Paul, that Mansour Delane will be equal value to Trent McDuffie, there's not a scenario in the world where you say they overpaid to get him, right?
That's right.
At that point, you're like, yeah, there's nothing. You lost a third-round pick to go replace Trent McDuffie's production? Fine. Who cares?
Right.
Right? So, and a fifth, to be fair. But so there you go. I get it. I'm going to rubber stamp it because they love the player that much. They were so close to getting one of those elite edge rushers. Here's the other part of that equation before we get into Peter Woods, Paul. Reuben Bain Jr. didn't go till 15.
How about that?
So now as we look back at this, it's like, would you rather trade a third and a fifth, move up 3 spots and take Delane, or just take Bain at 9?
No. They did the right thing. They got the guy they wanted. There's a reason. There is a reason. And I think we barely hit on it yesterday because I think both of us had the feeling that Bain was going to drop. Bain was doing too much self-promotion, if you ask me. Now that's just me. And I am just positive that he was going to drop, and he did drop a little. And in fact, he had dropped some in the last couple of weeks. And part of it is his height. That's a real part of the problem. He's 6 foot tall. People consider that to be a little bit short when it comes to an edge rusher. And of course, he could play a little bit of an inside, but he's not big enough to be an inside. He's almost like an in-betweener if you get right down to it. So I am not surprised at what happened with Bain. He dropped, but that's because other teams were trying to figure out, well, this is what we need to do. Here's what we think. And he still went at 15. I mean, it was a drop of 10, but overall from a month ago, it's a drop of about maybe a little more, about 7 or 8. But anyway, not surprised what happened with Bain. Is he a good football player? Yeah. Will he make a great NFL player? I think. Will he be a Hall of Famer? Don't think so.
They liked him enough. Brett Veach told the story afterward that Steve Spagnuolo liked him so much. He was like, let's not even bring him in. Let's put up the smoke screen. Let's just talk to him on Zoom. That's how much Spags liked him and like really thought he was the pick. Is he didn't even want to give any other teams clues that the Chiefs might like him that much. They kind of did that with Mahomes back in the day. So there's a lot that goes into it. Now they have to get the evaluation right. You've got the luxury of having Steve Spagnuolo on your staff. You've got the luxury of a head coach that trusts all of that completely. And you know, one of the better coaches of defensive backs in this generation at consistently having good ones, Steve Spagnuolo says, and does those sorts of things to go get him. That helps you trust the evaluation of the player, doesn't it? Like you just are like, okay, he's the guy, and they really liked him and they really wanted him. Now, did they like him or want him more than they wanted Bailey or Reese to potentially work out? I don't know. It doesn't really matter because it didn't work out. And so they liked him enough to make sure they got him. And they did not think they were going to get him after Tate was picked by the Titans. And so they make the move. And that's where I'll rubber stamp and give a decent grade, because their vision for it, and I believe them on this, you know, when they say these things, mostly because when you listen to the people following this from a wider perspective without a dog in the fight, they're saying the same thing, right? There's no way Delane gets past New Orleans. No way. The way this all played out, he's not going to make it past them. So when you see all that, you hear how much Spags likes him, you're like, okay, they went and they got their player. That's fine. It's the second pick, Paul, for me that I'm a little more, and it's not leery, because I think the general consensus is on Peter Woods is that people really like him. And, you know, in 2 years, if we're looking back at that, or even this year, if he's a rotational player, but in there making an impact, I think we're going to be satisfied with it. It's just the oddity of it to me is you just took Omar Norman-Lott in the second round last year at 63. That was a high pick. You know, maybe there's a future where you're just like, you know, Chris Jones only has 1 or 2 years. Those guys will be the interior in 3 years. But the Chiefs aren't really making decisions based on 3 years down the road. They're making decisions on how do we get the best we can be next year. And that's where it's like, okay, this is going to have to be a rotational situation. I cannot imagine a scenario, Paul. And here is a good point. And you know, when you think about this, and you've got good insight because you've coached defensive linemen forever, how much better a pass rusher or more effective a pass rusher could Chris Jones potentially be? Let's say Peter Woods is pretty good. If he's drawing the attention away from the double and triple teams Jones sees at times, how much better could that make their pass rush, just freeing up some of the bodies that are devoted to Chris Jones every game?
Yeah. Well, everybody overlooks the fact that if you can push the pocket and squeeze the pocket and make the quarterback put the quarterback
push it up the middle, you mean?
Yeah, where if you can get push and you take away that little step up area, there's always a little step up area that a quarterback likes to have, because if he has pressure coming off of an edge and he doesn't want to get hit or his arm jarred with the ball or whatever the case might, he's going to step up into the pocket. And you have two great push guys, Jones and now obviously Jones and Woods. Goodness gracious. Yeah. But you have both those guys that are really, really, really good push guys. Sure, obviously that would be a tremendous advantage. Take away that spot where a quarterback feels the safety of stepping into. And when you do that, sometimes one guy's enough. But if you have two, that changes everything. That makes a quarterback flush. That makes a quarterback more vulnerable to an outside pass rush. And when you have those defensive ends running the rim and they're coming fast, boy, there's that big desire to want to step up. You take that away, you realize how big that can be. So this may not be such a dumb thing after all.
Dumb's always the wrong term, I think, in drafts, because ultimately, Paul, all we're doing at the end of the day with these is trusting teams' evaluation of players. Like, we get so caught because it's so much fun and there's so much hype and there's so much pomp and circumstance around it, and the strategy of it is fascinating and fun. But sometimes I think we overthink it.
Right.
If Peter Woods is a great player, the Chiefs made the right pick. Like, if you come out of drafts and you overpay or do all these things consistently, and but you're ending up with great players, it doesn't really matter where they play. The goal of the draft is, like, you got to just get as many great players as you can get.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, is this guy a great player or not? I don't want to overthink, they could have waited 5 more picks, or they could have traded down, or they could have done that. Like, no, sometimes you just got to go get your guys. And they must have really liked this player too, because they do have some areas of need to get better next year. Defensive tackle was on the list for some people, maybe so, but it was farther down the list for me.
Yeah, farther down the list. And by the way, I had to go look it up because I wasn't exactly sure just exactly what the age was of Chris Jones. 32.
He's getting up
I
there.
thought it would have been 30 or 31.
No.
At the most, 32. So, 32, that's getting up there. And particularly at the position of
and this keeps him fresh.
Yeah, and that will be a big part of that. But man, the thought of 2 inside push guys, that can get one excited. However, let me play a devil's advocate. Going at number 31 was Keldrick Falk, a defensive edge rusher out of Auburn, 6'5", 276, runs well, overall grade of 87. He was projected to go on the 25th pick of the first round. He goes in the 31st pick of the first round, but 6'5", 267. He's that prototype guy you like, gets off the ball very fast, has great hands, hands up. He's a problem, got long arms, all the things that you're wanting, all the things that you need for a defensive end. You could have passed on Peter Woods and gotten Keldrick Falk because he was still available. He still had 2 more picks before he got picked by the Titans. So what would you have done? I know you probably don't know a lot about Keldrick Falk, and I'm not sure I know that much about him either. But I do remember the name throughout the course of the year a little bit. He's a good player. He's pro.
Yeah, he was. I think he was probably better in 24 than 25. So I don't know. Paul, I try to be really honest with people. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've done some deep dive evaluation of Keldrick Falk versus Peter Woods.
I'm just throwing it out that was available to the Chiefs.
He was available, as were some wide receiver options.
Right. And that, by the way, and you're right on that also, because going at 30 was Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana, wide receiver, highly thought of, and by the way, taken by the Jets. So, that, of course, they're looking for receivers anyway. But I just found it interesting that there were options on the D line if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
There were
that's
options
what that's I think that's my point, Paul. There were options there. Maybe at bigger areas of need, they decided to take Woods. Doesn't that tell you they really like this player?
Well, yeah, because I like Keldrick Falk too. And I mean,
I liked him too. He was a good player. We know who he is because he was a good player. How was he compared to a different position in Woods, and how do they stack up? I that's the part where I'm like, man, I don't know. How many people thought when Chris Jones was drafted he was going to be a Hall of Famer?
Well, who? I mean, I didn't. I mean, Chris Jones. Okay.
Played in the SEC, right? I think that one's a hard one for me to evaluate. I can understand the reasoning, and if they still had that 3rd round pick, I probably would be more okay with it. But I think they have 2 glaring needs here, and I don't know that they're gonna have to hope one of them hits in the later rounds, wide receiver and edge rusher. Let's talk about that. What do we look forward to now on the next day of the draft, which is today? Could they trade back up into the second or third? I think it's an option. We'll talk about it. We got Royals talk coming next hour. A lot for you. Your calls, comments, always welcome. It's Sports Daily on a Friday.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
can't find nothing on the radio, you'll turn to that station.
95.5 WPET, you got Peter the Riff Griff shocking you and rocking you while I'm sitting here talking to you. It's 75 and sunny, which means our street squad's going to be out looking for them super stickers. If you don't got one, get down to Linoleum Depot this Saturday. From 9 to 2, I'll be there hooking you up. Slap one on your car, win $100. Now I'm looking around and I'm seeing the spin doctors with not one, but two princes.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily.
I totally don't know what that means, but I want it.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Glad to have you with us on Sports Daily. It is another hour. We've got Jaylon Thompson. He'll get us ready for the Royals weekend coming up in just a little bit. We'll continue to discuss the Chiefs draft here, get you some final thoughts on their draft, looking ahead and looking at the rest of the first round and what we thought. It is a draft-heavy show because you got a couple of draft junkies in here. We love the draft. It's a blast. It's all what's on tap, brought to you by the Wichita Brewing Company, where it's patio season. Have a brew with a view on Delano's rooftop deck. Enjoy happy hour on WBC's East patio, or grab a pizza outside, shielded from the setting sun at WBC West. When you think patio, think Wichita Brewing Company, pizza and beer made here. The phone lines are open, 869-1240. You can reach the show on our comments, on our video stream, Facebook, YouTube, X. Thanks to those watching us on 12 News Connected. Thanks if you're listening to us on the Odyssey app as well, where you can leave us voice messages. You can do that here on this either. Paul, I'm looking at a lot of Peter Woods. It seems like people love the player. Seems like people love Peter Woods, the player. So again, I think sometimes when we go back and we look at these drafts and you do everything, the question has to start with, is it a good player? Like when can you remember a time that 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road or whenever we look back on a player that's great in the NFL and say, yeah, but you remember when they took him, they might have taken him around too early. Or they could have, you know what I mean? Like we do this with the draft only like right now. And then all that ever really matters is, is that a good player? Is that a great player or not?
No. Well, I mean, the Patriots could have probably gotten Tom Brady in the 8th round instead of the 7th round instead of the 6th round. So, I mean, I guess you can always say that, but great players are going to show their colors and their work ethic and whatever it takes. And all these guys are not going to be stars in the NFL. All these guys aren't. There's going to be some of these guys who are not even going to be in the NFL, 3 years from now. So, this is an inexact science, as you know. So we take it with a grain of salt. Everything you and I talk about is our opinion. Now, granted, there's a little bit of education. There's a little bit of experience. A little bit of time's gone through with a draft or two in our day as we have followed. And we have a little bit of knowledge about how this process works, and which is why they're able to rank these guys, say this guy should be in this part of the draft, this guy should be in that part of the draft, this guy should maybe not even be in the draft, or maybe a late round at the very there's all kinds of things and ways to put this. So this is not an exact science, obviously, but I'll tell you what, there's always enough information out there that you can glean something, and that's the same with Peter Wood. The more you look at this kid, the more you're probably going to like him. And the fact is that the Chiefs, I gotta think they examined everything that's available that's after that pick. And Keldrick Falk, we talked about him in the last segment. I look at that guy and I says, I would have had no problem with that pick either. But I don't know that I'm saying that we had any problem with Peter Wood. I don't have a problem with Peter Woods. I think he could be a dynamic player. And now that I have put together the fact that Chris Jones is 32, that's getting up there. There's not a lot of years left, not a lot of great productive years. I'm just saying, and chance for injury. I'm saying this may have been a lot smarter move than on first blush. How's that for being totally honest?
Yeah, look, I don't. Again, I try to be honest with it. There are people out there that truly evaluate all these players, and I appreciate them greatly because that's what we rely on now, right? When I was younger, I actually did a lot of research and looked in and dug in, and I had opinions on all these players. But I can't tell you what I think of the defensive tackle from Clemson other than what I've read other people say about him.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where the draft becomes like the strategies and all those things become fascinating. But at the end of the day, I don't want to overthink. Like, if your team comes away with a bunch of good players, it was a good draft. Like, at the end of the day, you just have to collect as many good players as you can collect. And it may leave you with holes in places that you've got to then work through the rest of the way. How the Chiefs have had an edge rushing issue for a long, long time. And they're probably not going to solve it in this draft at this point. Okay. So we know that. But did you get a Pro Bowl defensive tackle at that cost, but despite it? Did you get a replacement in the secondary for one of the best corners in the league? Then yeah, it's probably worth it. We have to just trust some of that. Now, they've got another strategic, fascinating decision coming at wide receiver today that we'll talk about as we make our way through in the expectations. But Paul, after this year, there's a good chance they don't have Rashee Rice and they don't have Travis Kelce. So, I mean, is that a bigger need now than even edge rusher is? I think it probably is. They took Jalen Royals last year. We didn't even get a look at him. Xavier Worthy got hurt to begin the year. He hasn't really taken off the way we thought. That's where you look at it and you're like, man, Peter Woods might be great, but they really need a wide receiver.
Right.
And, could they have found one there? Could they have gotten their guy? Is there a guy they love, but they know they can get him later? That's where the draft becomes fun. Maybe there's a player here that's on the list. Now, if you go and look at your lists for wide receivers, the next wave of them is a little further down the board here. Maybe that's a trade down opportunity to try to reacquire a third-round pick for the Chiefs. Hell, Paul, maybe they take another corner. Maybe they take a defensive lineman here. Lee Hunter, Caden McDonald. Lee Hunter, if you watched Big 12, is the other defensive lineman with Bailey that was really good at Texas Tech. There are true edge rushers inside, the top 15 or so players that people like right now. So I'll tell you that what really is breaking my heart, Paul, is that my hope for Jacob Rodriguez to land in either Kansas City or Dallas is fading. I don't think the Chiefs now could take him at 40, and Dallas doesn't have a pick for a while. That's what's hurting me today. Really, really, really want him.
Yeah, I hate to see you in such pain.
To be, he's not lasting to the Cowboys at 92 in the third. Now they could trade up. They need a linebacker. They could trade up. We'll get to the Cowboys, by the way, the next segment. Right. The Chiefs at 40, they don't really need that. There's no way. As much as Patrick Mahomes might be in their ear to go get him, that's just not a need for them. It's going to be interesting. I think if I had to bet $1, let's bet $1, Paul, on what we think the Chiefs will do in this round. If I had to bet $1, I will bet that they trade down.
That might not be.
I'll bet you the next pick that they make is a wide receiver, and I think they'll trade down before they make it.
That's interesting. Okay, I think I'll take that bet, and I'm going to predict. Can I give you a bigger case, a bet in words? In other words, of several different positions, do I have to pick one position?
Well, I mean, we're betting $1, Paul. You can't. I mean, I could say 5 different things. You got to give me your most likely scenario.
Gosh. Okay, I'm just going to go with what I think could be the obvious. I think they're going to use that pick, and I think they're going to take the best edge rusher that is available.
So you think edge rusher at 40?
I'm just saying.
I think wide receiver. I think wide receiver, and they don't make pick 40. So that's what we've got as predictions on tonight.
I almost went with wide receiver. And by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere some tight end slides in it. Listen, just a few days ago, you and I were talking about Kenyon Sadiq, the kid out of Oregon, a tight end, who is a blazer at that position. I mean, he runs well. He
the Jets, one of the Jets' 3 first-round picks.
There you go. And that kid's a player, and he's going to end up being a great player I think, a great player in the NFL. And he's that tight end. And listen, there's been talk that a tight end is going to be taken in this draft. There's going to be talk about let's get somebody in and that can rub elbows a little bit with that receiver core and learn all the lessons that can be taught through that position. And I just think that I wouldn't be surprised if a tight end was taken, because Kelsey's not going to be here forever. One or 2 years
for him.
1 or 2 years at the most. That's it.
Right. We'll go back to the draft in just a little bit. When we return, our Royals insider, Jaylon Thompson, is in to look ahead to the weekend, look ahead to Kansas City. Any hope with what we've seen the last couple of games, or is it spiraling out of control? We'll talk to Jaylon when we return on Sports Daily. Don't go away.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
310-1 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas fan headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
And now, digging deeper with the teams you follow, it's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
And that insider is Jaylon Thompson. Glad to have Jaylon in with us on a Friday, a usual stop by. We had a day off to reflect on things, Jaylon. How you feeling today? You know, every week we keep asking you about the panic meter, and every week there keeps being a little bit more to panic about, probably. We're talking yesterday, and I look, let me start here, actually. Are you encouraged offensively by what you saw in the final 2 games of the Baltimore series?
I would say, Jacob, I think there were positive signs. There were positive signs. You saw some good swings out of guys. Carter Jensen continues to be the best hitter on this team right now. And the 6 home runs, the 14 RBIs, I think that's what he has. He has a little bit more. It's really good for a guy that came up in last September and, you know, has really hit the ball well in his first 30-something games in the majors. Is really impressive. I would say, as far as the rest of the offense, it's a work in progress. And I wrote a story on the Kansas City Star. Go check that out if you haven't. Just evaluating the good, the bad, the ugly of the first 25 games. And right now, I think there are signs that they're getting out of it. Like, I like what Michael Massey's doing. I like what Vinny Pasquantino is doing, getting back his swing. The power is kind of showing up in certain stretches, but it's a long way to go. And if you are happy about where the Royals are doing right now, then you might need to go and reevaluate that, because it isn't good right now.
It's not. Okay, so let me follow it up with this then, Jaylon. Nobody's happy with the way that the season has started. The good news for the Royals is, in the American League, everybody's right around 500 right now. Mm-hmm. So that makes it a little easier. Like, you know, the Mets and the Phillies have to sit there and watch Atlanta running away with the division early. That's tough. The Royals don't have that. They're only 5.5 back of Cleveland, which is basically 5.5 back of everybody in the American League, except the Yankees. So when you think about it that way, and you think about what do we think it's going to take, 86, 87, 88 wins to make the playoffs, just some real brief calculations. If they're 9 games under now, from April 24th on, the Royals are going to have to be about 15 games better than 500 if they want to reach the postseason. Is this a team over that stretch of time you feel like can play that level of baseball?
I will say yes, but with two caveats here. The first caveat is you need your star players, and we say this every week. Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez have to play to their capability. If they do that, then they can definitely rattle off some wins. Let's not forget, last year they had a similar streak where they were terrible. Then they rattled off 16 of 18 games, and they got back into okay, the ship was kind of righted a little bit. This team has to do something similar. And to be honest with you, like you said, the American League has not ran away from them yet. They're still in the race. If we were running a 400 right now, they are in well back of the pack, right? But there's still time to catch up on the back leg of the season. So they just have to speed up and get back into contention. But I think that if you don't have your top guys hitting, in that bullpen you've seen, there's not really a lot of help coming from them. They're gonna have to use that offense to overcome those warts of that bullpen and a little bit of that starting rotation to be better.
Paul Savage here. Thanks for joining the show. We really appreciate it. You bring great insight with the Kansas City Royals. Vinny Pasquantino, I find very interesting. It's an interesting subject for this point at this point of the year with the Royals, batting 160. How important is for him to get, into the swing of things and get his average and get his RBIs and get his leadership and get his bat going to a place where the Royals, can swing off of eight wins for the whole year and start upticking that and get the Royals to a place where, who knows, maybe they can, compete for a wild card when the chips are down.
Hey, Paul, good to hear it from you. Good to chat with you. And you're absolutely right. I think Vinny Pasquantino has to tap into his Pasquatch powers and get this thing going right again. And I think he will. I think you're seeing better swings out of him these last couple of games. I think the home runs are going to start to come. And if you look at the calendar, where are we at? April 24th. I think he's starting to get into his routine. He always struggles in April. He always struggles. It's just not his month. Well, we're about to get into May. And I think when we get into May, you'll see Vinny Pasquantino start to, stretch out a little bit and start to roam freely in these baseball pastures as the Pasquatch, which everyone will love to see because the Royals need it right now. If Vinny can get to where he can be the guy that prepares and provides that power, then maybe he can hold the line until Bobby Witt Jr. gets back into the form that we know we've seen him. And maybe he can hold the line until Salvador Perez kind of performs better with runners in scoring position. And maybe he can hold the line until you get more consistency from guys like Jack Caglione and Michael Garcia and Lane Thomas and the like. Because they have to have those guys perform at a peak level if they're going to make a run and flip this thing around.
Jaylon Thompson joining us, KC Star, our Royals insider. Glad to have Jaylon's insight here. You mentioned the bullpen, Jaylon. Let's go there. Listen, it's going to be a problem. We knew that, though, when Carlos Estevez went down. We knew it was going to be a little bit of a problem. So Lucas Erceg's had a couple of kind of blow-up performances, but his stuff looks good. When he struggled last year, his stuff didn't look great. His stuff has looked pretty good. His control's been a little off. Strom has not been as effective as they'd hoped. Daniel Lynch has been. How long do you think it takes before Lynch moves out of – and they have him in a high-value position now because he can give him multiple innings. But at some point, does Lynch have to become one of the high-leverage, very late-game options for this team?
I don't know about that, Jacob, because if you do that, do you risk over-exposing him?
I know. And you risk losing your guy that can give you 1+ in those spots where you need him. But I got to tell you, man, how are you getting to Erceg right now?
That's the thing. The only way that the Royals are going to get to Ursack is you got to have your starters go 7 innings, which puts a lot of pressure on them.
But I mean, even Matt Strahm hasn't been. I mean, you good with Strahm in the 8th?
I mean, he had that one bad outing, yes, but he did come in and got 3 straight consecutive strikeouts that won those games last week. So, I mean, I'm okay with him there. You know what the Royals really need? They need someone that can throw 100 miles per hour to be in the bullpen. They really do. They don't have
Ursack. They need, you know what they need, I think, Jaylon? They need Estevez back. They need healthy Estevez back just to be an option back there. I mean, I'm looking at Strahm. Strahm's ERA is ballooned up to 5.19. He's, I mean, like half of his appearances, he's allowed a run. I don't know. Like, I'm with you. They need a flamethrower, but you ain't gonna find a flamethrower back there now.
They have one.
Who?
In Double-A. His name is Dennis Colleran Jr. He throws 100 miles per hour, but they don't seem like they don't want to bring him up. I mean, he was, if you watch spring training, that dude was blowing people away. Like he has they have a guy. I just don't know. Maybe he's too young that they don't want to bring him up and expose him to this bullpen right now, which I understand. But that guy has heat. He's throwing 100. He's pumping 100.
Okay.
And he has a high leg kick too.
Jaylon, we have you in to get real good evaluations of Double-A relievers in the Royals farm system. That's good stuff. But they're going to have something. It's a collection of everything because and the starting rotation's been really good. But as we mentioned a lot in the offseason, can we really expect them to go 7 innings with 2 or less runs like Michael Wacha wasn't terrible the other night. He gave up that bloop single that kind of messed up his line.
Yeah.
You're going to have to win games where your starter is like that.
Exactly. It's almost like since we're in NFL draft mode, I will use an NFL terminology here. We have 3 phases of this game, and the bullpen, the offense, and the starting rotation are 3 of those phases, right? Only one of them is really clicking right now. And if you're in the NFL and you only have your offense and clicking and your defense and special teams is not, you're not going to win games. So the Royals have to figure out how can we get our bullpen and our offense going to sustain when our starting pitching does not have it. And it's cool. Before Michael Wacha's last start, you looked at the top starters in the majors. It was Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha. They were in the top 4 in ERA, and you were 8-7-16. That's where you were at. So now Wacha had a bad game. Offense didn't pick him up. They're 8-17. They have to figure out a way to score more than 2 runs a game. Yes, they did the last 2 games against the Orioles, and that's a good start. But do that against the Angels this weekend. Go to Sacramento and do it against the Athletics and do it against Seattle next week. Then maybe if you finish April, let's say, with 6 wins of the next 9, do you feel good about the Royals?
I do. But they got to do it. And honestly, let's look to this weekend series and really the next 6 games because of what looms after that, Jaylon. There feels like there should be, and I hope that there is a ton of pressure on what's coming in the next 6, because after the next 6, here we go again in that American League where there just aren't going to be a lot of opportunities for games that, that aren't tough. You get the Angels and the A's, then you go to Seattle, and then you get 7 against Cleveland and Detroit. 10 of your next games after these next 6 are against playoff teams. So the next 6, to your point, they have 6. What did we call it? What did you just say? They got to win
6 out of 9.
6 out of. So you're including the Seattle series.
Yeah, I'm including Seattle too.
So what is it in the next 6? 4 out of 6.
You don't have to. You have to.
Really? You gotta finish the year 15 games better than 500.
Yeah. Honestly, you need to finish this month with. You probably need to win all these games sweep the next 2 series, and then you start going into May where you're back in it. If you sweep the next 2 series, that's 6 wins, right? So now you're at 14. You're 14-17. Do you feel good about the Royals then? I think you might.
Yeah, you'd feel okay then. Yeah, you feel okay. Here's what, maybe we're overthinking all of this. Don't you just feel okay about the Royals if they're playing better? I mean, that's been the elephant in the room. Like, we can break it down and fine tooth comb it all, but at the end of the day, they just haven't played good yet.
They haven't. They haven't had a complete game, and they will tell you that. They will tell you that they've probably only had 2 complete games the whole year. 2 of them. But here's the thing, though. If you look at the Angels, and the Angels are a really strong offensive team, you're not going to face Soriano, who has a .24 ERA. You're gonna skip him, so you can probably maybe win that series. Just don't hit to Joe Adele in the outfield because he'll steal it. But Mike Trout's going to be good, and it's Sunday Night Baseball. You can't get embarrassed in Sunday Night Baseball. The first time you had it at Kauffman Stadium in 10 years, you cannot get embarrassed on Sunday. You just can't. On national TV, you can't get embarrassed.
No, you cannot.
Well, let me get a quick question. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and get a quick question in. I want to talk just a minute about the American League because I'm very curious. I mean, I know we're only in April, but once we get into let's say September, who's the cream of the American League as you see it right now? You've got about 6-7 teams right now that could easily be the representative in the World Series. I mean, but is it the Yankees? I mean, they appear to be, about a half a head and shoulders above everybody else. But who do you like right now being one or two of those guys towards the end of September, once this league starts pulling down to where are we and before we head into the playoffs?
I would have to say you're absolutely right, Paul. The Yankees are the team in the American League. And I say that because I've seen, just being in New York last week, watching them play, that lineup gets rolling. I mean, you're talking about guys like Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Ben Rice, Jazz Chisholm, Cody Bellinger, and then they have a guy like Ahmed Rosario's on that team, and they just have guys that they can keep rolling out there. And then they're starting pitching. The Royals didn't even see Max Fried, but then you saw Cam Schlittler. You saw him. He's an emerging star. They have just Will Warren was pitching well against the Royals. They have a team and they have a stadium where it is a real clear advantage every time you play at Yankee Stadium against the Yankees because they can just hit the ball at the ballpark, and they do it with really relative ease. So I think the Yankees are a team that probably is the best in top class of the American League, and they should be. They spend the most money. They should be one of the top classes of the league. But I will also say I would not sleep on Detroit because Detroit also has a good team. They still have Skubal. Now, if they trade Skubal at the deadline, I would take them out of the mix. But because they have Skubal, they have Framber Valdez, they have Jack Flaherty, they have Justin Verlander, they have the pitching, right? So I would say Detroit is probably the next right behind the Yankees. But a team that I would not sleep on, and the Royals are going to see them next week, I would not sleep on the Athletics. The Athletics were an emerging team last year. They're young, they're fun. And if they get rolling this summer with the guys they have out there, Nick Kurtz, Lawrence Butler, Denzel Clark, naming just these young guys that can really play and really take it to the next level, I wouldn't be surprised if they're a wild card team.
Yeah, they got some dudes. I like Seattle too. Jaylon,
Seattle.
real quick, it's NFL draft season. You a Falcons guy?
I am a Falcons guy.
That's what I thought. You from that region. No first round picks. I mean, what a bummer. How lame is that?
You know what though? I don't think it was bad for them this year though, because a lot of the guys that didn't get picked in the first round, they're at the top of the board. Okay. And it was only 18 picks to 48 or 15 picks to 48.
That's a long way to go. You can sugarcoat it however you want.
Yeah, no.
You guys don't even have a quarterback right now.
You're right. We don't have you're right.
Yeah, I don't even know who the third best quarterback in this draft is. Maybe you can find them. Maybe Penix will be okay.
Carson Beck, maybe?
What's that?
Is that the guy? Carson Beck?
Yeah. Good luck.
Good. You're being awful tough on him, Jacob. Come on now. He's off.
He's got the Georgia ties and all that. So
I do. It's fair. It's fair. The Falcons have not won a playoff game since 2017.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. All right. Jaylon, we appreciate it. We'll follow along all your coverage at the KC Star at Jaylon Thompson on X. I kind of think we saw something at the end of that Baltimore series, at least with the offense. I got to put it together, but they got an opportunity to win some games this weekend at home. Let's see if they can do it.
I think so, and we don't have to talk about a stadium anymore. They picked that.
The stadium is happening. We'll get your thoughts on that at some point down the road when the sky is not falling. Jaylon, we appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys so much.
There goes Jaylon Thompson, our Royals insider. We'll come back. We'll go back to the NFL draft when we return on Sports Daily.
Lightning, hail, tornadoes, flooding. It's the worst of severe weather, and it's coming. Spring brings warmer temperatures, but also dangerous weather conditions. Stay up to date day or night with the Storm Team 12 weather app. You'll get accurate forecasts, so you can plan ahead and stay safe, no matter the weather. Download the Storm Team 12 weather app, brought to you by Stutzman's Greenhouse.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
The canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Odyssey is one of the most influential audio and entertainment brands in the nation. You already know Odyssey's iconic local radio brands in Wichita. But did you know Odyssey has the country's best collection of music, news, and sports brands? Odyssey is also a premium podcast creator, major event producer, and digital innovator. Odyssey brings people together across the country and right here in Wichita. Odyssey also delivers meaningful radio and digital audio results. Find out our story and impact at odysseyinc.com/Wichita.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Jim Rome here, lighting up your afternoons on The Jim Rome Show. Catch me starting at 2 on Wichita's #1 sports radio, Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW. FH.
Thanks to Great Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up. We were up late with the NFL draft. I was up late working the TV side of things. Thanks to Storm Team 12, and I know you hear them here on KFH for keeping everybody attuned to the activities of last night. It got a little squirrely out there. Certainly very squirrely to our friends down in Enid, Oklahoma. Let, as they pick up the pieces, let that be a reminder of the hard work that your local meteorologists do to try to keep you safe, try to keep you aware, prepared. Keep an eye on Saturday night, Paul. Keep an eye on Sunday. Yesterday was, a good example of how just what might seem like an innocent storm, all of a sudden we got tornadoes falling out and we got big hail and we got all the stuff that you got to be ready for. So thanks
let me
plug
just a little bit your weather coverage last night. They came up with something I'm not familiar with. Dust devils. I mean,
land spouts. They're land spouts.
Oh, land spouts. That's right. I thought.
Yeah. Sometimes land spouts come down. They can also be destructive.
Well, that was a new one on me. I'm not sure I've ever heard that in a report. I've been around a while, so
we had tornadoes last night. We had land spouts last night. We had big hail. We had all kinds of stuff last night.
Wow, there you go.
Land spouts. Yeah, they kind of look. They kind of look like a dust devil. Yeah. All right. So, Paul, let's go back to our draft talk here, and we'll try to cram it all in. It's so these shows after a draft are some of the best of the year. I pull in something, and so are all the great people that follow the Chiefs are finding old stuff. Here's what Mike Renner, who is CBS Sports' kind of one of their lead draft guys. And I saw him last night give the Chiefs an A+ for this pick. And I was like, wow, okay. He also gave him a really high grade on their Mansour Delane pick. There's a couple of things that have come up. Arrowhead Addict retweeted this and Seth Kaiser. So this one's first from Mike Renner. This was on July 22nd of 2025, Paul. So last summer. He said he's in awe of the fact that 315-pound Clemson defensive tackle Peter Woods played 31% of his snaps last year on the edge and did not look out of place. He called him at that point again last summer before the season, easy choice for my early number 1 player in the 2026 class. How about that?
Wow.
Then you have this stat on Mansour Delane. Seth Kaiser, Braden Turner pulls this from, and I don't know where the info came from. Mansour Delane was the primary coverage player in 2025. Okay, when he was this, Paul, the opposing completion percentage only 27%, and the opposing QBR 3.9. So basically, when quarterbacks threw at Mansour Delane, they did not have a good time.
Not good. Wow.
You're looking at this, and this is where, to my point earlier, and I'm guilty of this, and we're all guilty of it because we have so much fun with the draft. Like sometimes we overthink the strategy, all of that kind of stuff, when at the end of the day, if you just end up with great players, you've had a successful draft. And there are a lot of opinions out there that these are 2 great players. Were they the greatest area of need at the right time in the draft and all of that? Maybe not. Was it an overpay to move up to take? Was it an overdraft? Maybe. But at the end of the day, in 3 years, if these are two great players, we're not going to care about any of that.
No, that's right.
Remember the 2022 draft too, by the way, which is kind of interesting. The last time the Chiefs had 2 in the first round, they took a corner and they traded up for a corner and they took a defensive lineman, McDuffie and Karlaftis. So there's some parallels there too. But so I think when we look for the Chiefs, Paul, you look at that, you see those evaluations. It looks like 2 highly talented players, perhaps the 2 best players at their respective positions in this class. And you say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to be okay with the start to this draft for the Chiefs.
Well, I just want to point this out though, that with Woods, I mean, we're looking at a kid that is obviously going to be a great player, I believe, for Kansas City. There's no doubt about that. But Peter Woods is not going to be an edge player, Jacob. He is not going.
No. Okay. I think the point on that was he just lined up out there a third of the time.
Well, in college, you could probably get away with that, and I would not doubt that, and I would say that probably
315-pound edge rushers don't exist. Right?
That's right. But you got to think that obviously the Chiefs are putting a much more expensive view to the position of inside tackle of
Steve Spagnuolo has played Chris Jones on the edge. Now I don't like when they do it. I don't think it works as well.
That's me too. I know that, and I'm with you. I'm with you on that. It hasn't worked as well. That's not his place. That's not what he does well. There are other things he can do in the middle that gum up the works for any offense in the NFL. So I'm with you on that. But the point is that, I didn't realize that defensive tackle, you get kind of cocky. You think to yourself, gosh, Chris Jones, he's going to be around for a while. I mean, that's what we wishfully hope for, that kind of thing. So I'm just saying that I get what they're doing, particularly with Peter Woods. But I can tell you right now, they're still going to be looking. They're going to take an edge before this is all said and done.
Oh, for sure. At some point, do they take it at 40?
No question.
We've got our dollar on the line.
And it might be 40. We'll see.
We got our dollar on the line. Paul thinks edge at 40. Yeah. I think trade down, and their next pick will be a wide receiver.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do with my dollar when I win it from you. I think I'm just going to put it towards like a pack of water from HTO.
Yeah.
Can I apply it towards the – is that okay?
You can. In fact, if you win the bet, I'll give you a case of water from HTO. We'll up the ante here. We'll up the ante.
There you go.
It's great water, by the way. It's great tea. Everything.
Drink it all the time, son.
It's great water.
Yep.
Paul, so let's look at, we've got, a little less than 10 minutes left to go here. Let's go to some other places besides the Chiefs. Mendoza goes 1 overall. No surprise. Jeremiah Love at 3, your favorite player in the draft.
My favorite player to draft.
I don't think it was a surprise he went at 3, but I think the Cardinals were kind of out of options there. Maybe they're not ready for his skill set to help them immediately, but at some point you just take the best player, right? Tate at 4 was a surprise. I don't think the Giants envisioned Arvell Reese falling to them at 5, which was really interesting. Jordan Tyson, the other receiver, ends with the Saints. I think the Saints, if the Chiefs really pulled one over on them to get Delane, Jordan Tyson for them is probably not a bad consolation prize. I'll tell you this. The other big shocker of the round was Ty Simpson. And I don't know about Ty Simpson as a prospect, but if you're Ty Simpson, you got the perfect landing spot. Matt Stafford's got 1, maybe 2 years left. Fine. Ty Simpson's biggest flaw is that he hadn't played enough football. You go meet up with Sean McVay. That's the best case scenario for him. Now, I don't think I like the pick very much because I don't know how much I actually like Ty Simpson. But boy, if you're Ty Simpson, you're a big winner, I think, in this draft.
And of course, who he plays for, Alabama, he's surrounded by athletes. He's surrounded with protection. He's surrounded with receivers that can run. Most of the time, Alabama is a very, very adequate rushing football team. The thing about Ty Simpson that's different from Mendoza is almost 6'5", and Ty Simpson is 6'1". That's a big difference. You always like that height in a pocket, and Ty Simpson was a shock. I was stunned. I mean, I had just heard Mel Kiper in the last few days say, well, people are saying Ty Simpson may go in the first round.
There was some smoke to this one. There was some smoke to the
Evidently,
Rams.
there was smoke because a lot of people said that's not going to happen. I didn't think it would happen. And so I thought that was fascinating. And the reason being, I heard a commentator say, was it last night? Maybe it was this morning, who said, in the view of the Rams, what they wanted to do was take a quarterback while you don't need him. That's when they wanted to take the quarterback. And so they want, of course.
They just have the perfect situation. If Simpson's flaw is he's too raw, getting him and putting him behind Stafford.
There you go.
Is there, because you could do it you could go the Jordan Love route. He could sit for 2 years, Paul, and I think you're fine with it if you're the Rams. I'll give you my kind of favorite. I love, it's hard not to love what the Jets did. 3 first-round picks, 3 very high-profile players with those picks. I thought, they're gonna be anytime you can pick 3 times. I'll tell you, Ruben Bain falling to 15 in the Bucs, and people that listen to this show, I didn't love Bain up there to the Chiefs. Felt a little too risky, but for him to fall down to 15 in such a clear need for the Bucs, that feels like a huge win for them. I loved what the Browns did. You're kind of backing up Shedeur Sanders a little bit. You're giving him a chance to succeed. You get him a weapon. You get him an offensive lineman. I think that was the right way to go for them. And Paul, you can roll your eyes at it all you want. Man, I love what the Cowboys did in the first round. Caleb Downs getting to Dallas is such a bit for a team. You think the Chiefs need defensive players? Man, the Cowboys need defensive players desperately. And to get who I thought was probably it was him or Love for me as the best player in this draft. I think Caleb Downs is awesome. I thought that was great. They get the edge rusher that a lot of people like. Malachi Lawrence is fine. I love the strategy of it. I'm devastated they won't have a chance to get Jacob Rodriguez unless they can trade up. But I thought they also had a good first round. Who were some of your favorite first rounds?
Well, let me just point out with Caleb Downs, I think you're exactly right. Having watched, Ohio State numerous times,
we've watched them, yeah.
Yeah, we're familiar with a lot of their players. And at safety, you've got a guy that he's going to be able to play downhill. He's going to make a lot of plays.
Don't you think, Paul?
He's going to make a lot of plays for the Cowboys.
Safeties get undervalued a little bit. Don't you think, though, like the Cowboys who have a bad defense, a safety feels like they're called a safety for a reason, and they can cover up a lot of flaws on the defense.
And they make plays on the edge. They make plays playing downhill into the box. They make plays deep over the top. They come over and help. What doesn't a safety do other than line up and put his hand down on the line of scrimmage? What don't they do? Because they got to cover. They got to make tackles. They got to make plays. They've got to force edges. What don't safeties do? And when you have a great one, they make a difference. How about I go all the way back to the days of Larry Wilson with the Cardinals. That was the first great safety. He set the tone. And what did he do? He made plays all over the field, didn't he? And that's what the great ones do.
They do. All right. So you liked the Downs. Anybody else that we didn't talk about, you going to give a tip of the cap to in the first round there? I mean, it's hard not to say the Raiders if they got it right. If Mendoza's the guy, then the Raiders are going to have the best first round of anybody.
Well, we did
talk.
Funny. Yeah, we talked just briefly about Kenyon Sadiki. Sadiq. I'm sorry. He to me out of Oregon, that tight end, he's going to be. He could end up being.
So you're in then on the Jets first round because the Jets also got Bailey, who I know you like and I like a lot.
Yes,
Omar Cooper Jr., that receiver out of Indiana, again a player that we saw a lot of because we saw a lot of Indiana. Geno Smith walks into the Jets, and now all of a sudden, a team with no weapons, Geno's looking like, hey, I got Breece Hall back there. I got this talented young tight end, Kenyon Sadiq. I already have Garrett Wilson, who's one of the best in the business. Now we're adding this Omar Cooper Jr., who was a lot of people's favorite receiver in the draft. Geno may have pulled one out. Geno may have walked into it, the makings of it. And I know their defense was absolutely dreadful last year. But if you're going to be really bad, wouldn't you rather be really bad on defense than offense?
Well, you know something, if you're going to lose a game, what's the difference of losing a game 45 to 43?
Wouldn't you rather lose 45-43 than 13 to 0?
That's my point. That's my
Especially
point.
if you're a Jets fan.
There you go.
They've had lots of teams with great defenses and no offense. I think they're trying to flip that around on us. That's, man, what a great first round. I love the draft. Second round's going to be great. Second and third round, the Chiefs will be active. It'll be fun, Chiefs fans. We're going to come back. We got a little more Sports Daily. Don't go away.